Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Eddie Augustus, and today in this video I'm going to walk you through this project which I did for a remix competition. So if you haven't heard the track yet, it's been out like a week ago. So if you haven't heard this track yet, please go to the link in the top right corner right now, or please check the description. For those of you who haven't heard the track, here is a little preview of what it sounds like. So yeah, you get the general idea of what the track sounds like. So before beginning the walkthrough, let me disable some plugins. The arrangement is pretty simple. For this remix contest, I received a bunch of stems, but I only decided to use the vocal stem and the guitar stem. And the arrangement for this remix is pretty basic. So I wanted it to have a chill vibe you can listen to while you are relaxing. So it just starts right into the break, then builds up into the drop, and again goes to the second break, builds up into the second drop, and yes, there is an outro so that it will be easy to mix when doing live sets and stuff. The break starts directly with this piano thing. It sounds like this. The first thing in the break is the vocal from the stem and the piano. This is a true basic preset from true pianos, and there is not much processing done for this. Just a basic EQ and a fruity reverb. That's it. And supporting the piano while moving on to the build-up is this guitar from the stem. Without the filter, the guitar from the stem sounds like this. So before any processing, it sounded like it was lame. I mean, in the original track it sounded good, but for this track it sounded lame. So what I did was I added a EQ, boost a little bit of mid high, and a isotope trash for a little bit of distortion, then fruity reverb for reverb, of course. Again, a basic EQ, the frequency sweeping thing, cutting off annoying frequencies. Another EQ for automation, and at last sidechain for the drop. Moving on, underneath the piano and the guitar, supporting them is this bass. So this is from the stock presets in Harmon. I love this bass. I use it in almost every project, no matter the genre. And as for processing, there is nothing but just the basic EQ and another EQ for filter automation and stuff. And not to mention, I also turn it all the way to mono. And that's basically the break with this drum loop. Moving on to the build up is the vocal chop thing from the drop, which sounds like this. It's a layer of two different sounds. So the first vocal lead is from Serum. The other one is, oh yeah, I remember I made this preset for that Martin Garrix soundset that I did a while back. If you want the soundset, go to the link in the top right corner right now, or in the link in the description below. But this was a vocal lead that I did for Evolve, I guess. Martin Garrix and Justin Myers Evolve remake thing. And moving on to the build up, there is this chord thing. So all these presets are from the sound bank that I'm currently working on. So let's look at the processing for this chord thing. Nothing much is going on, just a simple EQ cutting off all the lows and a Maximus. This is a preset from Maximus. This Clean Master RMS. I mean, it makes a lot of difference to the sound. I mean, it's just like the sound Soundgoodizer. So I could have used the sound Soundgoodizer, but I don't know why I use it. But it works just fine. So yeah, and the sidechain. And the build-up also has this snare build-up. And for the snares in build-up, I always love to do it myself rather than use samples. I mean, it's so much fun and you get to learn new stuff as well. Yeah. So in FL Studio, if you want your sound to pan right and left without much, without doing the automation thing, you can always use this Fruity Panomatic and go to the LFO and select the pan option and select the amount, how much you want it. It is really handy, I mean. Yeah, so now let's look at drop. We already discussed the chord and the vocal chops and the guitar from the stem. And there, for the drop, I use a different bass. So this is also from the same pack that I've been working on. So for this first bass, which has only the mid and a bit of high, but no lows. So this first bass is what I made after listening to Skrillex and Diplo's "Where Are You Now" featuring Justin Bieber. I mean, that bass line is so sick. I tried to remake that, but I ended up with this. Yeah, underneath is a sub kind of bass, a basic sine, and a quarter pulse. So for the drums, I wanted it to have like the vintage 80s kind of vibe along with the chill vibe. So we have this kick and snare. The snare is doing that gated reverb thing. for that gated effect, what I did was I put the fruity peak controller on the snare, and whenever the signal from the snare was coming, that it was hitting the weight signal from the reverb ducked down, and whenever the dry signal finished up, the weight signal went up. So that's how I got the gated reverb sound. Yeah, with the kick, I thought it sounded sick, so I ended up using it. And for the feel, this is from the stem, obviously. These two fields are from the sample pack that I'm working on. And this is a sample, I don't know where, from another sample pack. For the second part of the drop, I introduced the hi-hat and the shaker loop. So, to give it that tropical vibe. And again, ending the drop with the fill and then going into the second break. And here's the tricky thing. I introduced the second break with this thing. So this is from Korg M1. Just to give the second break a lot more chill vibe than the first one. With that, it sounds like this. And for that thing, I don't know if I did any processing, because it sounded sick with itself. Oh, I did a bunch of processing then. It just sounds more wet with the processing, that's it. So the first thing is the reverb. Second, some EQ cutting up the lows. OTT for compression. Another EQ with the frequency sweeping stuff. And another EQ just boosting up the mid frequencies. And fruity balance for the automation. And at last, the kickstart for sidechain in the drop. I also introduced this thing in the second drop, I guess. Let's hear it out. So yeah, here the first drop. Yeah, I think I introduced it right here. Yeah, it gives it a lot more chill vibe. And then finishing off the track with an outro, like it's a basic house outro, a bass kick, a little bit of percussions. Yeah, that's it. So the outro sounds something like this. Like finishing off the track, the bass becomes thinner and thinner because I used Endless Smile, which is currently disabled. With that enabled, our outro sounds like this. So yeah, that's how I made this whole remix. And yes, let me just show you one more thing. This thing was enabled in the drop. This was also from the stem that I received. just to give the drop ambient 5. So without those ambient vocal chops, it sounds like this. But with the ambient vocal chops, it just becomes more wider, I guess. It sounds good. Yeah, so I've used that in the whole first drop and the second drop and the outro. So yes guys, thanks for watching this video. If you found it helpful in any way, please hit that like button and please leave a comment for any feedback or suggestion or video idea, and please subscribe, that means a lot to me. So bye guys.